Hello and welcome to Newsmakers on CHCH Podcast. I'm your host, Louie, and coming up on today's show, we will take a look back on the Ticats season that was as we head into the locker room clean out at Tim Hortons Field this week. We'll hear from the head coach and president of football operations, Orlondo Steinauer. We'll also hear from the longest serving Tiger Cat currently on the roster, that being Simoni Lawrence. And coming up a little later on with the Grey Cup Festival set to officially kick off in less than a week's time, we'll be joined by ambassador and digital host of the Grey Cup Festival, Natalie Sexton. But first, let's talk about that Ticats game. Yes, the Hamilton Tiger Cats season is over after falling in the Eastern semifinals 27-12 in Montreal against the Alouettes. It is the second year in a row the Ticats have had their season ended in the East semifinals in Montreal after identical 8-10 regular season records. To say this Ticats season has been a disappointment, probably a fair statement. Obviously, with the 2023 Grey Cup still set to be held here in Hamilton, they haven't changed that. It's still being held next week. It'll be a little different than it was last time around in 2021, if not just for the fact that the Ticats will not be playing in that one. That'll either be the Toronto Argonauts or Montreal Alouettes taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers or the BC Lions. But we'll get into all that Grey Cup stuff when Natalie Sexton joins us coming up a little bit later on. But I did want to get to some clips yesterday from Locker Cleanout, and I had a chance to ask Coach Orlondo Steinauer, him being the head coach and president of football operations, what his message to fans was after the disappointing end to the season. I thought this was an important question. There weren't too many of us down there asking the questions for the fans, but I thought it was important to get to know from the coach's mouth what his message to fans was. Here's what he had to say.
I just said it. I understand. Fan is short for fanatic. They deserve a champion, but they can be assured that we're doing what we can do. The proof is the results, duly noted, right? But there is this thing: is you don't wave a wand. There is no magic potion. You don't rub a lotion on your hands and then you win. This is a game that's played by people, and people aren't perfect. They're not, right? And so you know what you sign up for. And so to the fans, I say I appreciate their passion and wanting a championship and having an opinion. That's what a fanatic is. That's what you do. That's what they pay their earned money. I don't have a challenge for that. There's nobody that wants to win more for this city and for Bob Young and Scott Mitchell and Alan and all the managing partners and Jim and for the city of Hamilton than I do. That's what we wake up and do. And that's the staff and everybody else. And that's the messaging is I get it. They're paid to have an opinion. It's not going to change. It's not like we've been cutting corners and okay, now we're going to work hard. We're grinding. There's one champion. There's going to be one color of confetti that falls. That's sports. As long as they keep score, it's a zero-sum game. There's a winner and a loser. And I think what happens in football is you don't get a chance to redeem yourself as quick. You say, what does that mean? In football, if you lose 2 games in a row, you're basically a loser for, 18 days. So you've got your 2 weeks that you lost plus the lead up to the next game you play. If you lose 3 in a row, you might be a loser for 20 days. If you don't have a strong environment culture, you can't survive that stuff. If you take another sport, you're playing 2-3 games a week. So if you lose, you can make up for it in 2 days. That's what makes football so unique. And so that's what I would say. I appreciate the fans and their passion. They deserve a champion. And what I also learned about fans is they had things to say when we were 15-3 and broke a record and won the most games and we were undefeated at home. They still had stuff to say, and that's what fans do. And so I don't have any challenge with that. That's when you stand up here, you sign up for that. So we're grinding. The goal is to win championships, period.
That is the head coach and president of football operations of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And yes, I will admit that was a pretty long answer. It ran about 2.5 minutes based on one question that I asked, which is, what was your message to fans? And I will give him some credit. I have watched Coach O for most of the last 4 years. I've had a chance to have one-on-one interviews with him. That's probably one of the most vulnerable I've seen him. But, like he said, fans deserve a championship. They're not going to get it this year, unfortunately, but we'll see what happens with the Ticats. Coach O also touched on something else, because after the game on Saturday, a game in which Bo Levi Mitchell was relegated to backup duty until late in the fourth quarter, the future Hall of Famer, MOP, Grey Cup champion, who's in year one, just finished year one of a 3-year deal with the Ticats, was asked about his future in Hamilton, and here's what he had to say to TSN cameras.
If you're not playing your highest paid player on the team in a playoff game, I don't foresee myself probably being here. I love this team. I love this organization. I hope I can be here in some capacity, because I would love to, be a part of it again. But that's obviously for other people to decide.
So that's Bo Levi Mitchell talking about not seeing himself being back here in some capacity, and then immediately saying he could see himself being back in some capacity. Here's what Coach O had to say about those comments yesterday.
At the end of the day, I don't have any comments on Bo's comments, right? But what I love about Bo is he speaks from the heart and from the sleeve, and he's going to wear everything on his sleeve. Bo came and sat in my office yesterday. We got an outstanding relationship. We text message all the time. So there's, I think that if you asked him, it was taken, there was a longer conversation there. I think it was taken into context that anybody wants to take it in. Bo was in my office for 30 minutes yesterday, and it was just like we were sitting there having a beer. So there's no challenge there. Bo's a Ticat right now. He's under contract. There's, the way things worked out this year, it wasn't ideal for anybody, including Bo. And, from the injuries to coming back, to another injury, to the East Final. It didn't turn out ideal, or how anything that we envisioned. It was far from that. But we didn't sign Bo to a 1-year deal, right? So Bo's a Ticat, and that's what it is right now.
Once again, that is the head coach and president of football operations for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Orlondo Steinauer, talking about Bo Levi Mitchell. And before that, his comments that he made on TSN about his future and whether he sees himself being back here in Hamilton. However you feel, it'll be an interesting offseason to watch for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And for one other reason is, what are they going to do with Simoni Lawrence, who is set to become a free agent? Simoni Lawrence has spent 11 years in the CFL, of course, 10 of them with the Ticats. He is Hamilton's all-time leading tackler, and as mentioned, is set to be a free agent this offseason. Here's what he had to say at Locker Cleanout yesterday.
For sure, you're not silly to think that you're going to play football the rest of your life. So, you try to put yourself in the opportunity to win a Grey Cup every season. And, the way I look at it, if you don't do it that season, you try to put yourself in the opportunity to get another chance to play and compete for a Grey Cup. And, I think that with my level of play this year, I put myself in another position to get an opportunity to compete again. It's just part of the game, injuries happen, but, what's been consistent since I've been playing football since I was 9 years old was I've been a dominant football player on every single level. My military academy, I was a captain there and got a bunch of scholarships. University of Minnesota, captain there, got a bunch of scholarships. Came up to Canada, captain, a bunch of awards. That's always going to be consistent. This probably be a way easier year than last year, Coming off an injury, you never know what's going to happen, with opportunity. A lot of people act funny, act like things just disappear. But, your tape is your currency in this league, and I put enough tape out there to get an opportunity.
And that was Simoni Lawrence as we caught up with him at Locker Cleanout yesterday. And to talk a bit more Ticats, but also next week's Grey Cup Festival, I'm very pleased to be joined by digital host and ambassador for the Grey Cup Festival, Natalie Sexton. A born and raised Hamiltonian, Natalie is a lifestyle, fashion, and beauty influencer and expert and has appeared right here on CHCH on Morning Live. In addition to numerous appearances across Canada, she also serves as the game day host for the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Tim Hortons Field and can be seen and heard on the Ticats audio network. And we're just looking at some of those. Natalie, I love those. First of all, Sexton in the City. We have to actually take some credit here at CHCH. That's a segment you did a few years ago here at CHCH.
You know what? Absolutely. Like, this is where it really all started, which is so amazing. It was actually a blog that I was writing called Sexton in the City. And I was a makeup artist for the morning show for CH as well at the time, like kind of doing all sorts of different things. And it was sort of a last minute idea from Kate Carnegie. And she said, I need you to talk about, I think it was self-tanner was my first ever segment.
Okay, so here's the story. So we were sitting in the canteen and I was like, should I bring these clips up for Natalie?
Yes.
You should. Okay, so Mike Corson, get the clips ready. I don't have them ready, but like that was so new to you, right? I mean, even being on TV where you were, it wasn't a traditional path to how you found yourself.
Not even close. And I'll tell you, I was terrified. I loved being behind the scenes, you know, and I really loved kind of like the energy of being on a set was just so exciting to me. And CH was my first, you know, big gig. And I loved it so much. But then having that flip side of things happen, as scared as I was, I also really loved it. And I had so many great people around me really encouraging me. And so I kept going with it. And then all of a sudden I have this Saturday evening 6:30 slot during the 6 p.m. news on CH called Sexton in the City with this like really cool pink graphic in the background. And I was at the desk and I would put together these segments and really like talk about all the things that I love, like fun things like fashion and beauty, and get to share that.
Was it difficult for you to transition to that behind the scenes, in front of the scenes? Because, I mean, you seem like such a natural at it now.
Oh, good.
But, I mean, that's tough, especially like you didn't go to school for that kind of stuff. Right. It was, I want to say, late in life career transition, but
not traditional. Yeah. Really, Louie, you're right. Like, I mean, I would have been in I would think like my mid-30s at that point. It's not really a time that you start, you know, your TV career generally, and started with that. And then within a year, I was approached by the Marilyn Dennis show and had a regular spot on national television. And again, I've always had really great mentors and really been able to also take constructive criticism really well. I think that's the only way you can grow. You know, definitely. That's key to just
it's what you love though too. You've always had that passion for looking good, feeling good, because it goes more than just beyond beauty and fashion. Like this whole lifestyle brand that you built for yourself, it's a 24/7 job, is it not? Sometimes
it is. And you know, it's funny. Like for a long time, I think I felt a bit of that imposter syndrome too. Like you said, not having that traditional training or background. And when people would ask that, and it would be like, well, no, I didn't go to school for this or that. And then really sort of building my own brand and my own confidence, and knowing that you can't be everybody's cup of tea, but you can brew a big pot of it, and enough people drink it, then you will be okay. And that's kind of the fun of it as well in what I do is realizing like, some people are really going to love what you do and some aren't. You know, if we all like the same thing, how boring would the world be? You know, you grow a little bit of a thicker skin, because I also have come into this at a time where social media also really exploded. So learning to navigate that and navigate kind of the good and the bad too, you know, but being, I think, a little bit older in it was also a benefit as well.
Well, there was a moment I saw at the Forge game about a week and a half ago. You were there kind of getting the whole feel for how Hamilton throws on a party. And there was one moment where it was you, Mackenzie Barwell, Eva, like there were the young women who work for the Ticats and Forge FC. And there was just this moment where they were all kind of looking at you. You kind of were holding court with them. When you see that, when you see the next generation
I love it.
Of these females coming up, I know you've been part of those Spark Summits that they have, but to see women in sports. to be asked their opinion. Like, what's that been like for you? And how has that changed even in the 10, 15 years you've been in the business?
I think it's just so important, and I think it's important to be a role model for people and be supportive and make space for everybody, because there is room for everybody. And that was something that I really am grateful for in the people who did that for me as well, and women in the industry as well, that really made space for me, believed in me, and really supported me. I think it's important to give that back. And, it's funny you say that in sports, because initially when I started working for the Ticats, I was approached about hosting, and I said no, because I was so nervous. I just thought, well, I do fashion and beauty and this and that, and people won't buy it. Like, they'll boo me. They'll think, like, what is she shouldn't be out there talking sports. Or even though I was a huge Ticat fan, grew up in a Ticat home, knew all about the game, was season seat holder. But I was so worried about what other people's judgment would be of me that I almost let this huge opportunity that has been a life-changing one, pass me by. And yet changed my mind. About a week later, got a call again saying, "Are you sure?" And I went, "No, please, I want to do it. Yes, I totally want to do it."
Is it too late?
Yeah.
Because it was you and Max that first year.
That's right.
And it was just, Max had just launched the true Hamiltonian branch. You were Sexton in the city.
Yeah.
And it really was, I think, was the start of the way the Ticats, I don't want to say rebuilt their relationship with the city, but during the stadium stuff, obviously there was a lot said back and forth, but you have to give the Ticats credit. They really have, with these two Grey Cups now, have made it an identity that Hamilton is as Tiger Cat as Black and Gold.
For sure. And I think there's been a big renaissance of the city too that we've seen as well, right? I'm definitely born and raised Hamiltonian. I've seen a lot of those changes happen from, my dad worked at Stelco, for many, many years. We are, I've said this before, but we are Steel Town, but we're art and we're music and we're fashion and we're food. We're so diverse. There's so many things happening now. And I think that those changes have also happened over the years. Certainly where if I looked at it in a timeline, I could see all of those changes happening probably 2016, 2017, going into that Ticat season. Everything was changing in the city, for sure.
And we're still seeing it. We had the Hugh Peg announcement earlier this week with the redevelopment of the downtown Performing Arts Center. What makes you proud to be a Hamiltonian?
Oh my gosh, so many things. It's such a... It makes me a little bit choked up in certain ways, because I've traveled all across Canada. And I always have some kind of Ticat swag with me. And it's so interesting how many people will even just yell out Oski Wee Wee or the Hammer or I love Hamilton people. People that know Hamiltonians love them. Hamiltonians are proud. And I think we've always kind of carried that. And I certainly noticed that when I was traveling back and forth to Toronto earlier in my career. I remember being somewhere and somebody said to me, whereabouts do you live in Toronto? And I said, oh, no, I live in Hamilton. And they said to me, and you admit that? And I remember thinking, what? It just was so sort of shocking to me. And that really, it kind of nudged something in me. And that was actually when I was opening up a boutique in the city and we carried the Hamilton is Home shirts. And I really felt like it was important to me to show that how proud I am of this city and show, how diverse and amazing we are.
To that point, that's what the 2023 Grey Cup Festival is all about. We got a little sneak peek of it in 2021. I know we had a lot of fun.
We sure did.
Listen, it was really the peak of a COVID shutdown right after that. We got the party in. That was important.
We did.
It was a great time, but having lived through it a couple years and now seeing, you're everywhere, right? You're all over Ticat Social. You're really getting people to know the city. That was your goal as a brand ambassador. How have you done that?
We are really trying to showcase everything that's happening, during Grey Cup Festival. And Louie, there's so much happening.
A lot.
It's really unbelievable. What this team has done to take this Grey Cup Festival to this level is just unbelievable to me. Let's first start off with Carrie Underwood. You know, we have Shaggy, we have Green Day, like that kind of level of performers coming into town is just unbelievable. Our music festival that's happening from Thursday to Saturday, we have like 40 plus Canadian bands. Yeah. We have the Sirius XM launch of that on the Thursday night with the Dirty Nil and No Bro, which is going to be awesome. And then the CFL Awards, and then Shaggy, which is the Thursday evening in Niagara Falls, which has been a cool partnership.
Yeah, we had in the intro, you were doing the Niagara Falls thing. You did the zip line down.
Gosh. Yes.
That was a big part of this Grey Cup Festival.
Right.
Was making it regional.
Right.
I'll be there at the CFL Awards. I'm looking forward to being in seeing Shaggy and everything else going on down there. But when you kind of take a step back and you realize that they are welcome in Canada, why is now the best time for Hamilton to be having this?
Oh my gosh, I think just because we really sort of, we can really house Canada and bring them in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we can really give people kind of everything that they're looking for, I think, you know, like from families to whether you're here with your buddies to kind of, you know, have a real party time, or whether you're with your family and your children. I think we have kind of all bases covered, and we're really able to do that in our city. We're really kind of offering the full experience from start to finish. Our festival in itself, like there's so many cool things going on there. If you think about, we have a big Christmas market going on. We have at the John Weirfoot Armory, which, like, think about how many people have never even been in an armory before.
An active armory, by the way.
That's right, exactly.
You get permission from the government to be there.
That's right.
There'll be the mini football field in there.
This is like Fan Central going on, right? So with like cool activations and fitness activations going on in there as well. And then the other thing was the Hamilton Flag Football tournament that's going on there. So that's the classic. It's hosted by Football Ontario. And so there's like some of the best teams across the region playing, and fans can just go in and enjoy and take this all in, which is so cool.
The mini football field at the Armory, I'm pretty excited.
Oh my gosh.
You mentioned the Christmas market, the Santa Claus parade, a big part of that as well. And to that point, I mean, the race that we got, the big race.
Yes, the race to the cup. Okay, I'm going to be in the first group with the kids.
Are you? Is that the 1 kilometer version?
That's the one I'm doing.
That's the one I might be. I might be able to walk that one. Okay,
I've got to thank Karen Makeup. I've got long days ahead of me.
I believe that it is going to be a long week. What did you learn about your experience last time that you're going to apply this time around?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Waterproof.
Yeah.
Mascara. I think that was Grey Cup, the actual Grey Cup.
The actual Grey Cup. It was
I think everything was frozen. Yeah, by the end of it, my eyelashes were.
It's supposed to be a lot nicer. The one thing I told somebody this the other day, I'm like, the one thing I always need to remember is that like that last Grey Cup was in December. It was like December 12th, so it was a little bit later.
It was different.
Should not be that cold, hopefully.
No, I think we are going to have, I can feel it. The weather's going to be fantastic. And I mean, we have so many things going on inside and outside too, right? So people are not like stuck outside in the cold by any means.
And when we talk about all this stuff going on, like the amount of partnership that needs to happen with, you know, the partners from Supercrawl, with even people at the school boards to make sure that you can get the PA day. This really is, if you go to the Grey Cup Festival and you see all the partners, and yes, CHCH is a media partner of the Grey Cup Festival. There you go. But I think it's important to see that like everybody wants to be in on this. Everybody's really excited to welcome Canada, welcome the world to the city.
I know, and I think we're so excited to show our city off and like and what we can do here and to this level. I mean, I'm thrilled. And I think it's actually quite, I mean, we're talking about this is happening, but I'll tell you, if you go to greycupfestival.ca, there is a really like easy to use calendar that you can go through on there. So you can really navigate kind of through maybe like, what are the top things that you want to go to? You know, I think that's key in not getting overwhelmed by everything.
When you like see the word Hamilton, and you're somebody who goes across the world repping the hammer, but when you see, you know, somebody like a Natalie Sexton wearing a Ticats jersey in the front row of a Leaf game.
Oh my gosh.
Or you see Hamiltonian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Michael Anlauer, Steve Staios. You're really seeing all these Hamilton people making a name for themselves across the sports world. And it all comes back to Hamilton.
Right.
Like, what does that mean to you as a Hamiltonian, as someone whose dad worked at Stelco, was going to see games at Ivor Wynn, like,
oh my gosh,
like what does that mean, like, to you though?
I mean, it's kind of neat, isn't it? Like in talking, like in the sports world of it all, and I think it just is something to be said about the work ethic, of Hamiltonians for sure. And then the pride of that as well. I mean, when I was at the Leafs game on Saturday wearing the Grey Cup jersey, it really was pretty neat how many people came up to me and were very much like, oh, I love Hamilton. Hamilton's the best. Or like, I want to go to Grey Cup. Green Day's playing Grey Cup. Like that kind of like, that the buzz that's out there. But we really do have some amazing athletes that have come out of the city and are really proud to be Hamiltonians. Like there's something to really be said for that too, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, they rep their hammer proud.
Yeah.
And that's something you've always done.
Yes.
And in this role as the Grey Cup Festival ambassador.
I'm so
and
proud.
Digital host.
I'm thrilled.
Because you and I go back a few years. We worked together
do.
at the Ticats Audio Network.
Right.
Because even in that time, like how have you noticed your love of football change because you're so...
I know. I'm louder on the sidelines.
You're louder.
Yeah.
You get to meet these guys, and I think that's the biggest thing. Sexton in the City.
Right.
Again, something was your blog.
Right.
A brand you've brought with you
right.
to cross different...
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, my graphic.
I love
is that
did
graphic.
You make that yourself?
I think I actually did. I think I paid someone to do that, actually.
Really?
No, I might have.
That S is probably trademarked. You can get that somewhere.
I think I had a makeup line for many years, too, and that was S was the stamp on there also. But, yeah, that was the logo. And, I mean, it's kind of neat you say that, Louie, because you're right. Like, it is something that I have been able to bring into so many different avenues. And that, again, it's like that initial self-doubt of like, oh no, I can only do one thing, and realizing you are allowed to have multiple passions. And it's about putting the work into them. But I'll say this, like my biggest supporters as well have been Hamiltonians. And I really feel that from people. And we get to do this together. Like I'll say like even in quotes, like my success is everybody's success. It's all, we're all doing this together.
And I would think that when people see you on Morning Live,
right,
repping Hamilton, but
right.
Marilyn Dennis,
right.
Repping Hamilton.
Right.
When they see you, I've seen you on CTV Ottawa. I've seen you across the country,
right.
repping Hamilton, and like that's Natalie. Like that's right. Like it does work both ways.
Yeah.
Like, you do get this little something out of it.
For sure.
But I did want to talk about the players part of it because you're Sexton in the City conversations. Like that was always my favorite part about being around the team.
Right.
And we had a clip from Coach earlier where he said, like, we're people.
That's it.
Right? Like, we're people, too. Like, hey, we're sorry we're not winning.
Right.
We hear you. We see you. We know you're frustrated.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, you have to remember we're people, too. And I love that Sexton in the City. Like, you're doing these long-form conversations. You're exploring a city that you love with these people. They're not football players. They're just people when you're talking.
And that's it. And when, that idea was kind of came together and was pitched and everything, too, it was that... let's have conversations that even have nothing to do with football. Like, let's talk about food and fashion and Hamilton, and like, let me share some fun things that I like here. Let me take you somewhere, and let me know what you're loving in the city when like a lot of these players are new to the city, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's been really fun, and it does even take it to the next level as a fan too. Like you said, like these are all really good people that work really, really hard and put it all out there. So they're all very special.
How organized is your next 10 days? So the Grey Cup, what days is 12 days.
Right.
What do the next 12 days look like for you?
Like so busy and so fun and so exciting. Like there's no part of me that's thinking, oh my goodness, it's going to, like there's no dread by any means. It's like pure excitement. Definitely planned out. We have like a plan of, I want to cover as much as I can, and get that all over social. So people that can't be here can also really feel like they're experiencing it. But I can also kind of act as a tour guide for people that are here. Maybe even give them a little inside scoop in advance of what's happening. Like there's just so many things going on.
It's because like I was exhausted after the last Grey Cup, and that was a toned down, scaled back version, which I need to keep reminding myself that everything you did last time, like bring it back, like 10%.
Right. That's it. Yeah, exactly.
To survive.
Yes.
Just to survive, I think I'm going to need to.
Yeah, lots of water.
Lots of water. Any sleep whenever you can get
sleep, exactly. Take your vitamins.
I'm looking forward to it. I know you're very, very busy, so I appreciate you making the time, Natalie.
It's my pleasure. I'm so happy and so passionate to share all of this, and I just can't wait.
And I've gotten my invitations. There's a media kickoff party. I'll see you there. I'll see you at the Shaggy concert. I'll see you there. So you're going to be sick of me by the end of it.
Listen, I'll be hosting the red carpet brought to you by Tim's Financial before the CFL Awards. So
at the Avalon Theater. And then Shaggy, we're going to OLG stage.
Got it. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for the Shaggy one.
I'm excited to see what you're wearing, too, though. I mean, this is what I'm going to be doing.
So I was going to ask, because I'm a podcast host. I wear the same 2 suit jackets. What do podcast hosts wear?
Just added something with a little sparkle or something.
Okay, so you've been very clear about the metallics.
There's metallics.
I don't know if we can see her boots there.
My wardrobe is full on silver. I'll tell you guys.
I saw you at the AGH on that was the dress. You looked like the Grey Cup.
It was pretty fun. That went viral too. It kind of went across Canada, the dress. So that's pretty cool. I understood the assignment. You're going to see a lot of silver incorporated in and we have so many great pieces. I'm going to give that a little plug. Our Grey Cup collection is amazing. So you can find that in store and online too. So lots of stuff for everybody.
Lots of stuff for everything. And we do want to give a shout out to the Ticats TV crew that you work with.
Oh, the best.
Corey, Zach, Hawk, all those guys, the editors.
Nick is a new guy. He's kind of my right-hand man for the festival too. So
there you go.
Those guys are all great. They just put out amazing content.
I can imagine how busy it is having been in the office that week. So I appreciate you making the time, Natalie.
It's my pleasure.
All right, she's Natalie Sexton. My thanks to her for joining me, and my thanks to you as well, because we could not do the show without your support. So make sure you like and subscribe to CHCH Podcasts wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you can go to chch.com/podcasts. That'll do it for us today. My thanks to Mike Corsten for directing today's episode, and once again, my thanks to you. From all of us here at CHCH, I'm Louie Butko. Have a great day.